As a Hindu, if I chose to marry a Christian, neither my partner nor I would be expected to convert to each other's faith. Yet if I married a Muslim, I would have to convert to Islam. Why is that? I'm going to meet Alia Hari, a qualified counselor who's hopefully going to enlighten me on my quest.
Yes, it is true that Islam requires women of the Islamic faith to marry within the faith, which means men who are Muslim as well, whereas a man is able, a Muslim believer is able to marry women of the Jewish, the Christian, or the Islamic faith. And therefore your question being a woman of another background, if you were interested in marrying a Muslim individual whom you loved, you would have to consider the possibility of converting to the faith.
But if I'm a Hindu, I am not coming into that marriage totally faithless as an atheist, you know, and you've just said Christianity is allowed, Judaism is allowed, and yet Hinduism isn't, and it's perhaps one of the oldest religions around.
Yes, the basis for that is that in Islam, men are allowed to marry women of the monotheistic faith, which would be the three great world religions out of the Middle East, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Generally speaking, the woman tends to adhere to the guidance of the man within the family. That doesn't mean they don't discuss matters. That doesn't mean there aren't each point of views put forward. Yes, there are. But every organization, every family, every group needs a head. Otherwise, there's chaos, isn't there?
Why does the man have the right to have the dominant role, and why isn't it on an equal basis?
Islam views the man's role as one of actually greater responsibility. In the Quran, it says man is held a degree over women, and what that degree is the fact that he is responsible for the welfare and the upkeep and the provision for a woman and his family.
But in this day and age, I mean, you know, women do run their lives on an almost equal basis as men.
I personally think that the rise in women's opportunities is a very good thing. However, the other side of the coin is the fact that the divorce rate in the West has escalated to such horrendous points. For example, in America, the divorce rate is now 1 out of 2 marriages, and Britain is rapidly approaching those figures. It is, to me, quite a tragedy that relationships break up so quickly, particularly on the fate of the children. And therefore, again, this balance between men and women are to ensure a more lasting relationship.
But from what you're saying is that if I, as a Hindu, was coming into that partnership, that my religion or my way of life is suddenly become a non-entity. Surely doesn't it work better to be able to take the good out of both religions? I mean, how does a person feel? How would I as a woman feel if suddenly I'm being told that really the Islamic faith is the best way and the purest way and the way to go ahead? You know, I would suddenly feel as if I was worthless. You know?
But Islam isn't saying that. Islam is saying that where it concerns marriage, the people should be of the same faith.
9 times out of 10, if you're actually forcing something on somebody, you know, then that creates friction, that creates rebellion.
I precisely agree with you that it's impossible to force anyone to take any decision, and Islam forbids actually people being coerced into conversion.
But if you love a man and
if you love a man, precisely, then take it to the next step. If you love someone, then the next question is, am I spending the rest of my life with this individual? And what will the quality of our life be like? What will we do with our children with respect to raising them within a faith, within a clear path? The children I've counseled, the families I've counseled, if they've been exposed to two faiths when they were very young, are very confused and have terrible identity problems, what can happen is which is I think the healthier path in terms of my experience, is for a child to be raised with one tradition so that it has some clarity, some foundation on which to explore the metaphysical, the spiritual side in life, and as an adult be perfectly free to choose whether he wants to remain in that religion or in another.
You know, the pressures on marriage these days, just two people getting together, getting married, and making a success of it, is so difficult.
Yes, it's enormous, isn't it?
They're enormous pressures.
And that's precisely why...
But if I was having to convert, I think the pressures of that on top of everything else would in fact probably make my marriage fail.
What Islam tries to do, as I've tried to explain from the very beginning, is to provide the best basis for success in marriage. And marriage is not simply, as I've said, the husband and wife, but it also involves what happens years from now when the children are grown. We all need family, we all need
Well, I wonder
community.
though if I wouldn't be losing that support from my family anyway. If, as a Hindu, I then converted to a Muslim.
The parents I have found really only want their children's happiness. This I have found without exception, particularly when the family starts and when the children begin to arrive and the grandparents see that, oh, my daughter has flourished. It has been a good step in the sense that her family is a strong unit and it's a beautiful family and the children are growing up well. I can't see how things wouldn't work out in time.
Well, I'll think about that. Thank you very much for talking with me,
Thank you,
Alice.
Sneh.
Well, for me personally, marriage to a Muslim seems too much like a one-way street. I'm not convinced I need to convert to make a success of my marriage. I'd be giving up too much. I'd be losing my identity.